Alright, here we go. Continuing on with part 2. This is episode 1 from the 7th of December 2017, part 2. The footage was actually captured on the 6th of December. It was captured around midnight, so the day changed over from the 6th to the 7th. The audio is being done on the 20th of December 2017. It's been a couple days since we worked on part 1, and we've come back to work on part 2. I've been on vacation since the 11th of December. And this week I'm really pushing to get all these raw footages or videos that have been sitting on my hard drive for some time.
The Sentinels of Magic were formed to combat these sorts of magical crimes, but the number of Faust Solus is far beyond their control.
There's a bug in DC Universe there, and the video clips are playing like, depending on where you are in the story, they're playing one segment behind. So, when you see the mentor pop up there, it might be for, like, if we complete a significant part of the video, they're usually what should be played is actually from one step behind where we were in the sequence. Programmer not paying attention there. Anyway, we've gone from the police station. We're out in the new world now. We're trying to get this character leveled up. Guys with exclamation marks are the mission givers, and if they have I believe I don't remember if it's a question mark or just another exclamation point when you go turn the mission back in. So one of the cool things in DC Universe is it's one of the first games that allows you to do your travel power in battles at the same time. In City of Heroes and in Champions, you have to do them separately. Like, you can't use your travel power in the middle of battle. At least when I played Champions, you couldn't do it. Might have changed over the years, but when DC Universe did it, they were one of the first that did that. Here we go. This is Chinatown in Metropolis. We have to go around and get this area.
Sentinel of Magic nearby
now,
is an amulet that will help you find her.
In DC Universe, when you're in these sort of, if you looked at the mini-map there was like this big orange spot for the area, and if there's other people grinding in that area, and let's say you two have the same mission, as long as you go stand next to that person when they click on that object or device, you'll get credit for it. So what throws people off in this game when they first start playing is they think people are ninja looting them, and they're not. The looting is automatic, so when you knock this guy out, the stuff automatically comes to you. See the little blue and pink stuff flying towards you? That's the loot. You don't actually have to stand over people to loot. DC Universe is designed to be a fast-paced game, like action-based game, and so you used to have to, if you were using a game controller, hit the L1 and L2 keys together, and then that would bring all your loot to you. But in one of the early changes that they did to the game is they made that an automated feature, because it's kind of what people did automatically. So one less button to push. DC Universe was also one of the first games where you were both a melee and range attacker. In City of Heroes and in Champions, I use those as an example because they were relatively the only two superhero games at the time when this one came out in that genre. And you either had to decide to be a melee or range attacker. And so, I believe World of Warcraft is the game that changed all that, where you had a melee attacker and a range attacker. You could do both in the combat. Now, later on, as we get into a team situation, from a strategy and tactics point of view, your character should, depending on your role, know how to form up as a team, because how you form up can make the difference of how your team does in DC Universe. On the surface, as I've said before, DC Universe seems rather simple, but there's a lot of complexity to the game that's happening behind the scenes. Again, this is the PC version. I hope to get the console version up once I get the PlayStation 4. I have a PlayStation 3 and I have this game on PlayStation 3, but how to capture the video would require a secondary card, which they make for the PlayStation and laptops. But I plan to get the PlayStation 4 and then get the video capture device later on. That way, I only have to get one capture device. Here we go. We've completed the first couple missions. Now we're going to go on and the second part of the... If you're reading the quest as you're going along, we're investigating these clues to find out where Zatanna is. She's gone missing. So Wonder Woman has sent us, because we're basically a sidekick, to go find Zatanna. This is something relatively... They changed out the skill point system, how it worked with weapons, and how it works with the powers. Now, in the game, as you progress, you get all your powers in the power set. They didn't used to do that. But you still only have the 7 slots, or 6 slots, to do your loadouts in, but you have to pick the powers that you want to use with your guy. We'll go over that as the series progresses with this character. This character is a Quantum character. Quantum is a controller role, I believe. But you don't get your controller powers, or what you call your specialty power, until you reach level 10 in DC Universe. So right now we're really a damage dealer. Everybody is a damage dealer starting out. And the reason why they don't have a specific damage dealer role is everybody's basic role in the game is a damage dealer. So if you go on a mission and say there's many healers and many controllers, which rarely happens, you can switch back to damage dealer. Or every power set, you can just stay within the damage roll if you want. So we gotta knock out these guys. they're collecting souls for Faust.
It's not worth my soul to betray Faust.
Felix Faust. Now in DC Universe, the first 30 levels that you do in the game is really the tutorial.
Rise and defend the soul well.
Because they're teaching you about the map. They're teaching you where all these different layers are. And
Faust commands that we must
they
fill the
become
soul
important
wells with souls.
once you get past level 30 and you start building your combat rating. In DC Universe, although you have levels, the combat rating
These soulless
is
victims are Faust's
what
doing.
is important.
We must find Zatanna and undo this evil.
And
Sentinel of Magic nearby has an amulet that will help you find her.
the combat rating combines the experience of the character, the
Thanks to
equipment
you, we know
that the
Faust
character has
Zatanna
collected,
captive nearby, guarded by his
and
enslaved soulless victims.
improvements
Go,
that you've made,
free Zatanna, and defeat
exploration,
his plans.
and that's the true way that you level in the game, is through combat rating, which through the first 30 levels you're relatively low combat rating. And you need to be level 30 with about 46 about mid-range 40s to
This is Vicky Vale.
do the
Today
early
on JLA Watch, Zatanna,
raids in the game.
Justice League's mistress of magic.
These shiny
A
things
self-described spell
are the
Zatanna relies
exobits
on spells
that
sent
you collect
backwards
in the
to work for
environment. You
magic.
can hear them.
For now, this show-stopping
But,
sorceress can be found with Dr.
there are three
Fate,
types. There's a
leader of
red,
the
yellow,
Sentinels
and
of
blue.
Magic, a new task
And you
force
need
heroes
8 of them to
dedicated
make a
fighting
bite.
magical
You know,
crimes
8
wherever
bits
they occur.
make a bite. And then from those, you use those to improve your abilities or enhance your equipment. So they're relatively important commodity in the game. So here we go, we're going into the Chinese theater. We've tracked our clues back to this building to go find out where Zatanna is. And this is teaching you what we've gone through from a tutorial sense. Is they've taught you about the outside zones, how to use your powers, how to click on the objects, how to loot the mobs, follow the storyline. And then now this is teaching about the inside part of the lair. This is the basic essence of the game they're doing in this short part of the early part of this first part of this tutorial. They're giving you sort of a condensed version of what you'll do later on in the game, but it won't be as easy or as quick. So you gotta put out these fires. Now I'm playing in a low resolution as opposed to a high resolution because I'm playing on my laptop. But it still looks relatively good, I think.
Help us! You'll never get past me or my mystic barriers.
We've unlocked 3 of our powers so far. Luckily I took flight. In the years that I have played this game, I've always have had fun playing it. And DC Universe is... what I enjoy about the game is that you can just, like, log in for a couple minutes, be on a group. Get in a group, go do what you need to do, and be done with it. You don't really have a whole lot of sitting around. And as a role player, that's not really like role playing, but the game is built around basically you queue up, and it takes you to wherever you need to go. And while you're waiting for the queues to come up, you can run around and collect things. The game is built around scavenger hunting. You gotta forage for things, search the environment, both Metropolis, Central City, Gotham City. As a Magico-based character, you start in Metropolis, Chinatown, and eventually you go to Gotham. If you do the Superman, which is the metahuman line, you start off in Metropolis, but on the other side of town, the south side of town. And then, if you're Batman mentor, then you start off in Gotham City, on the east side of Gotham. And Gotham is always nighttime there, and Metropolis is always daytime.
Rage will be boundless.
As we get more deeper into the series, I'll show that. And then eventually you get to the Watchtower. The game basically takes, if you ever watched the show Justice League or Batman animated series, it sort of borrows a lot from that sort of genre. And a lot of stuff on the TV is on there. The cool thing with DC Universe is they're coordinated with their TV enterprises, their comic book enterprises, films, lore. There are always things going on throughout the year that are all tied together, which I think they're one of the better companies. Even though they have a, like Daybreak, which used to be Sony Online Entertainment, a third party building a game, they have a nice seamless, or integrated system with all their assets, which I like. Blizzard is like that with Activision. Star Trek is kind of becoming like that, but for a while there, it seemed like CBS, Columbia, Paramount, and they weren't communicating. Cryptic. Since the new series has come out, it's changed to hopefully the better. Star Wars seems like they get a lot of support BioWare through LucasArts, but it's looked like it's taken a lot of time for LucasArts to sort of organize their media assets. I know there's a big push to unify the timelines of the Old Republic and all the New Republic stuff.
Silence was really cramping my style. I'll track him down.
So here we are. We gotta defend Zantana. I find if you use your range power here at this point, it's relatively easy to do this mission. Then you only have to stand in one spot and let the guys come to you. So you hit the E button, or on your controller would be the circle button, I believe. What's cool with the game is they always have on the screen, which reminds you what the buttons are. I think that's a cool thing, especially if you play a lot of games and you might not remember, or you may go and come away from the game and might forget what the buttons do.
Initiate field report. It's still warm to the touch.
Going to distribute our skill points. So I've gotten all my range skills out of the way. Now I'm going to start working on my melee stuff. They're relatively easy. Since we're using the PC, it's going to be left mouse button, right mouse button. Left mouse button are your melee attacks. Right mouse button are your range or distance attack. And it's generally you press the button once, tap, and hold is your combos. So like here you have, that's a tap and hold. The next one would be a tap and hold twice, or 2 taps and hold, 3 taps and hold. Depending on what your power sets are, you have to see right there is 3 taps. It normally builds 2 taps, 3 taps, 4 taps, and 5 taps. So you have to sort of remember all that. We're changing out our armor or equipment. Remember, always lock your styles, so as you're gathering equipment, you're maintain the image that you want. See, and here's, like I was saying, DC is you're relatively collecting things: styles, furniture, artifacts, gear, exobits, material, and so forth. Titles. And it's relatively cool. Once we get to level 10, we'll unlock our base, and I'll run you through that. So, this is where I start to decide on this Maya and Chrome look. I've been for years wanting to use this look, and I decided to use it here on this character. It looked really good on the character for some reason. Change out the color. That looked really good right there. Utility belt. Yes, the belt has a Batman symbol on it. I like the blue because it brought out the color in her hair a little bit better, I think. Although the gold looked good with the chrome. But I felt the red took away from the hair. So I went back with the blue, I believe. Can't change out that chrome color. So see there. Weapon Frozen shield. Fiery shield. I like this shield the most. Look cool. It's the headband. I'm adjusting the color of her headband. See that? And then the front of the goggles. Show you the different styles here. There's Catwoman, there's Supergirl, Bombshell, Wonder Woman. That's from the 1950s. The bombshell look. Faux Fire. Hawk, long, the glam hair. Themyscirian edge. Yeah. I never liked that hairstyle. It's the classic Wonder Woman hair braid. Remember early on Wonder Woman, she wore her hair up all the time. And then later on she wore it down. Yeah, we're going on to the next mission objectives. We're about halfway through this part. Coming up on a 30-minute interval. Running over here to Chinatown. I don't know how to pronounce that in Chinese, but in Greek that would be Shihia. What looks like an X in English in Greek is the letter he. It's an H sound. That's why Mexico is pronounced Mexico, because the word is actually Greek and not Latin.
Initiate field report. It will take powerful magic to restore this soul fragment.
off again. Blasphemer!
One thing that I have researched in a couple days since I started doing the part 1, part 2 is that I went through the power sets, especially with the controllers, see how they were changed when they consolidated all the powers. But what they did is they moved the power mechanic to all your powers now. So when you change out your power trade or pick the powers you like for your hero, all your powers will activate the light now, which I kind of like. The powers aren't in tiers anymore. It used to be it'd be a 5-tier, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You get your supercharged powers around tier 3, tier 4. And then all your heavy hitting powers would be all in the tier 5. But all your usually heal powers for both the power healer and health healer would be in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So when you went in raids, you would have to load up all your heals, which would take up all 6 of your slots. Only really 5 slots, because your 6th slot is usually for your utility belt. And then your attack powers will be relatively weak compared to a damage dealer or a tank, because they're off in the lairs using their tier 5 powers, and you're stuck using your tier 1 and 2 powers. But I'm glad they changed that out now.
Her cursed amulet to entomb the incorporeal. Free her from that talisman. Use it to call back the souls of the dispossessed.
And they moved the underlying like when it was designed in the tier structure, that each tier would give you a certain amount of bonus to your attributes, but they moved that into a separate area now, basically called skill points. And then it's in several different layers, and then you now can pick the ones you want. Since in the game, as you grind, you're always generating skill points, and that's how you progress your character. But how you distribute those skill points is up to you, the player, which creates the variety for each kind of character. So like if I want to distribute my powers more into so that my weapon does more damage, that my powers do more damage, or that my healing or power healing is more effective, or tanking, my defense is a lot stronger, dominance. Now, in DC Universe, you have to have separate gear for PvP and PvE. And when you go into the police station, the green label vendors are the PvE vendors, and the brown label vendors are the PvP. So the way the game is designed is, if you want to primarily go the PvP route, you can do that, still progress in the game, and not have to really do the environmental stuff. But if you want to go the PvE route, you can do that too. Now, I would suggest you do, if you're going to do both, do the PvE grind first, and then do the PvP grind second. Because what differs with the PvP gear is they have an attribute called toughness. And when you use PvE gear, it's called is it dominance, I believe, is the factor. Might be endurance though. Anyway, they switched those out. So they scale differently, and your gear has PvE gear doesn't have a toughness rating, and PvP gear does. Now you see that orange box on the mini-map there? That's telling you that you're in a player zone, meaning anybody in this area, as long as you're when you click on that button, as long as someone's standing next to you, they'll get credit for it too. So you can work as a group of superheroes in a big like area fight. You don't have to worry about ninja looting people. As I said before, that's a thing that a lot of people in this game, when they first start out, they're not used to doing. See how that guy's... I let him click the button, see? But I still got credit for it. See, I stand there. As long as that guy clicks the button, and I'm next to him, I still get credit for both events. The object and the guy dying. So DC Universe is a very team-oriented game. You can solo, which you'll spend a lot of time doing, but to get to progress in a game, you're gonna have to group with other people. The graphics in this game, even at a lower setting, are pretty awesome, I think. Very comic booky. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm gonna make it up. Little zombie dude keeps hitting me. See, I use my power to hold him, then I click the button, then I go back to beating him down. I control gravity. That's my power, quantum power.
Whoa, that was dope! Whoa, that was dope!
Yeah, that guy came behind me and clicked it, and I still got credit for it. See that? No such thing as ninja looting.
Hey, thanks, dude.
Now for you World of Warcraft people that are following my channel, you know I do the World of Warcraft reviews. Combat pacing in this is a little faster tempo. And because you're using combo powers with your melee and range attack,
that was dope.
it makes, even though you experience the combat again over and over, the experience itself is different because you're not always doing the same combos all the time.
We must weaken Faust. His magents are using forbidden artifacts called soul wells on innocents. Find them and destroy them before they're taken to Faust.
Now this little green thing are little clues that are around town. When you're walking through the environment,
Faust has retreated to the
you need to
theater
go and make
begin
sure
his
you look
foul
for
ritual.
these green things.
Zatanna
You can
has
hear
him
them because they
cornered
make like a
inside,
little
but he is
tone.
protected by his magents, and she is alone.
And you can get modifiers, which are like consumables, which allows you to hear a little bit better.
The Sentinels of Magic can restore
And,
the splintered
if
soul
you have
fragment
good
with
perception
Gnostic
ability,
thaumaturgy.
you can scout those out faster than other people. And those investigations add to your feats. And every feat you do, it can add to skill points. In this game, skill points are everything. And as you go higher and higher, it gets harder and harder to generate skill points. Which is why I love the game, because the upper tier grinds take forever. It's like, I think 210 is the highest combat rating, now 220, something like that. Which, with the tiers, early on in your raid, the 8-man tiers are, they're gated. So if I do it today, I have to wait 3 weeks, 18 days to do it again. And as you go up in tiers, the gate becomes shorter. But early on, the time between the missions you can do is longer. So you generate your they call mark of victories slower. I'll get into that as we get into the serious grinding phase of the game. Right now we're still in the tutorial phase of the game, which is the first 30 levels. Our goal right now is to get to level 10.
You will never defeat me.
Level 9 is when you get your skill points to unlock your travel power, your first enhancement to your travel power, which you should get. Now we took flight, so our power is going to be supersonic ability. If you have super speed, it's going to give you your jump capability, and if you have acrobatic, it's going to give you your grappling hook and what they call glider option. Allows you to fly as an acrobat, or if you get near a building, you can do the like web crawler, web shooter thing. Pulls you close to the building, or if you want to go vertical, it gives you the grappling hook, so you can do the Batman grappling gun. Now the combat in DC Universe is 3D dimension, meaning you can go up in the air, down on the ground. You're not always in the same plane as your target. So and as you go higher in level, the villains become tougher in terms of, they become real villains. Super villains.
You shall pay for this.
And their powers are a little more exotic. As again, what I do love with this game is that the grind is long.
First you, then the
first 30 levels is relatively easy. You could, if you really push, you could do it all in one day, but I usually do it over a 3-day period of time.
A fresh soul for Faust.
As I've played the game over the years, I like doing the initial 30 levels slower now. You can use things in the environment to pick up and bash people with. So when you're in places like this, look around for objects, like big metal objects. But some objects, like if you have super strength, you can pick up like cars, buses, power generators, those kind of things to smash people in the head with. Use it as a weapon. Breaking furniture. In DC Comics, one of the things they do is break a lot of furniture. Remember the old Batman series? They used to have those big fights. in DC Universe is really cool, I think. Nice action paced. Every lair has one of these little safes in there. It's basically a bonus thing.
Faust and
Cash.
Zatanna battle just past that mystical barrier. Defeat the Magians casting the spell to break through.
I have failed, Master Faust.
Ran over here so I can look around the corner. I actually know what's around the corner because I've done this mission a lot. So, but you should always look around the corner and see where these guys are.
Do not pass. You must not interrupt the master. To battle! No! We failed the master! You will never defeat me! You shall
Yeah, I pull those guys by using my control ability. The character is a controller, although right now I'm in damage roll. So next ability is 3 taps and a hold. It's the combo. That makes us level 7. So you see, even within the first 7 levels, there's been a lot of action. We've moved a great deal around town. We've gotten to explore stuff. We've gotten further in our investigation, and here's our first big boss fight in the game. The Mannheim Chinese Theater is one of the first lairs you unlock.
Release
and
these
can return
innocent
to
souls, Faust.
You cannot stop
in the
me,
game.
Zatanna. My power is too great. Ah, yes, the power fills me.
In this game, they call them lairs and not dungeons.
Give me your
So
power.
lairs are usually
Don't
solo.
let them feed their power,
duo.
Faust.
They have what's called a 4-man lair and an 8-man lair. The raids are all 8
I dream
player raids.
power. Yes, I consume it all.
You will never defeat me! You shall pay for this! You will never defeat me!
Coming up on the 15-minute mark. 10 minutes left in this part. We defeated him. We choose our loot. Make sure you always read what the loot is. But each piece of gear you see unlocks a style. So even if you don't like the gear, you can still collect the style and then sell off the piece that you don't want. We gotta talk to Zatanna. Here's our first cutscene.
That's a few souls Faust won't get his greasy hands on.
As you go through the story, you collect all these
I
cutscenes.
long ago sold my soul
Give
for
you the
occult
history of all
knowledge.
these characters.
Now demons themselves dance at my command. But one bit of knowledge eludes me. The flame of life. That electric bolt that creates something from nothing. And this I will possess. I will possess the collective soul of mankind and turn the flesh of all living things to my will.
feats. We completed our first instance without dying. So now we gotta leave. This is the game that I feel Sony Online Entertainment redeemed themselves since the fiasco with Star Wars Galaxies. They had a real win with EverQuest Online Adventures, and I guess to me EverQuest 2 was really good, but they took all the stuff that they got out of EverQuest Online Adventures that they made for the PlayStation.
Faust has retreated to this theater to begin his
sort of an
foul
updated
ritual.
version of EverQuest.
Satana has him cornered inside, but he is protected by his mages,
and that's how they came up with EverQuest 2.
Join the battle to fight at her side and end Faust's vile plot.
EverQuest 2 wasn't as big as a hit as the other two. But Star Wars Galaxy started out as a hit, and then the developers started wrecking the game. And so this game, I felt that they redeemed themselves. And in the time Sony imploded, had managers making bad business decisions, so they've this company was essentially sold off. Sony Online Entertainment became Daybreak Games. Basically their own company. So in DC Universe you have what's called Shout that goes to the whole zone. Trade goes between the different zones. But that's in other games they call it General Chat, or in Star Trek it's called Zone Chat. You know, unlocked another skill point. As you go up, you can get multiple fighting skills. However, remember you have a limited amount of skill points that you can get, which is quite high. But the more points you put through learning multiple weapons, the less points you have to dedicate to a skill, to the weapon or powers later on. So you have to use your skill points wisely in the game. My opinion, you gotta find the one thing that makes your character unique and great. Stick with it. Not try to be a jack of all trades. Although a lot of people do it. They're called min-maxers, and you can't really do it. This game forces you to choose, to pick one or the other. In that sense, this game has really good balance, I think. In my experience, though, it's hard finding good damage dealers in raids, in my experience. At my sort of level, I either get on a team where I'm the healer, and there's no controller on the team, or when I'm the controller, there's no healer on the team. So, it's tough. Tough out there. Every now and then I do find a controller or a healer.
Ready for the second act? The demon Trigon is
tough.
rising right here in Metropolis. I'll get there when I can. Until then, think you can handle it?
This is leading to the next investigation. We finished the first mission. So they're going to do a little upkeeping here.
As one who has been proven in battle. Dr. Fate's ward against Trigon has broken. Now Trigon's demons rampage throughout the Tomorrow
It's
district.
telling you that this new
The
instance
Science
is
Police's
available.
powers are not
Here's our
enough.
on-duty
Defend against this evil and
tool.
hurry.
This becomes important once you reach level 30. See, all these missions are unlocking. Now, if you're new to PvP, you can do what's called their Legends PvP. You unlock all the actual, like, Batman, Robin, and you learn all their combo moves, and that's the Legends PvP. And it sort of allows you to generate money for PvP while you're getting your own character stuff situated. So we're getting all these attachments. There's our first legend guide that was unlocked. Batman, Robin. Dr. Fate sent us some gear. So we're gonna go load those up. So here's our loot. We're gonna load up these 2 legends. See, we're collecting our legends. See, where it says not collected, we want to put these styles on so we can collect these. I'm gonna move this over here. It's XP boost. It's important. Now I'm going to put it on this little asterisk here. Actually, I threw that away. We unlocked flight there. So we gotta get, next skill point we get, we're gonna get this supersonic skill, which improves our flight capability. You have to at least spend 1 point in that to get the better travel ability, which everybody usually gets. Because it's an innate power, meaning you don't have to load it to your toolbar. Whenever it says innate on there, that means you don't have to load it to a toolbar to activate. If it's not innate, that means you have to load it to your toolbar to activate. So we're going to repair. When you do combat, your equipment gets damaged or wears out. You have to do upkeep. Now we need to sell. We need to start building up our cash for later on when we have to start building and developing things. I usually just sell all my early stuff up because before everything before level 30 is just junk. So you can just sell out and max out your cash as much as possible. You gotta use all the fine gear that you can. It's the cheapest way to grind initially until you start building up your equipment set. So here we go. This is actually a side
Brainiac
mission.
is attacking.
But
He's
this is
targeting
going
sites to
against
bottle
the...
and bombarding us with troops.
If you remember the
We
way the
need your
game
help
started
before
off,
it gets worse.
we started with the Brainiac stuff.
This is Oracle.
So
We took out a Brainiac ship, so taking out his forces on the ground should be a cakewalk. He's
This-
staging his front line nearby.
this
Head over there
side
and kick some
mission
can.
is bringing you back to the original storyline, which is our fight against Brainiac. The Wonder Woman mission was really a part of the tutorial, which is teaching about Metropolis and basic functions of the game. Shut up, Power Girl. She was a healthy girl. Healthy gal. What I want to do is I want to fly over here, and I loaded up my other character so you can see how the PlayStation and PC interact. And that's how we're going to start off part 3. Alright, see you on the next part.